Get ready to hear the truth about America. A news show that isn't allergic to the facts. The Bold Conservative. Now, here's your host, James Ledbetter.
Good morning to all my bold conservatives out there. Hope you had a great weekend. Today, we're going to be talking about Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is again in the news. Adam Schiff says he has no sympathy for ruining Carter Page's life, doesn't regret writing the fake memo defending the FBI. Hold on to your mega hats. This is the Bold Conservative Show.
You remember the dueling memos. You and
Yes.
Devin Nunes had dueling memos about the FISA process. Yours read, FBI and DOJ officials did not abuse the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act process, omit material information, or subvert this vital tool to spy on the Trump campaign. In hindsight, do you regret writing that?
Well, I don't regret that because at the time that's what we knew. Now, 2 years later, we learned there were serious problems. I will also say, though, that the investigation was properly initiated. That has now been confirmed by the Inspector General, that it was not driven by political bias, that there was no illegal wiretapping of Trump towers. That's been confirmed. All of these allegations by the president, by Mr. Nunes and others, have been debunked. But those that had questions about the FISA applications, the subsequent investigation by the Inspector General has borne out those problems, and they're very real.
But then does it give the American people pause to wonder about Congress's oversight responsibilities?
Well, I think there are good reasons for the public to be concerned by what's been revealed about these particular FISA applications.
Especially because you felt so strongly. I mean, your statement was a very strong statement, and yet it turns out that there were real problems, as you've admitted.
Well, look, it is certainly true that 2 years ago when we looked into this matter, we weren't aware that a low-level FBI lawyer had misstated information in the FISA application. There was no way for us to know that at the time. It does mean that we're going to have to demand much better of the FBI and the people that work on the FISA applications. But this broadside attack on the FBI, I think, is far more damaging because attacking the FBI as scum, which is what the president has been doing, means that jurors in cases throughout the country who see an FBI agent on the stand now are going to think, well, the president says they're scum, so maybe I shouldn't believe the FBI. Yes, there were mistakes in a lot of them with this FISA application, but the vast majority of men and women working at the Bureau do phenomenal work, and that should not be lost sight of.
All right. So now, you heard with your own ears that Adam Schiff is a liar. Adam Schiff doesn't regret lying. He doesn't regret writing the fake memo that ultimately ruined Carter Page's life. Ruined it. Carter Page will never have a normal life again because of the Democrats. So, according to the Daily Caller, Representative Adam Schiff said in an interview aired Friday that he has no sympathy for Carter Page and that he also has no regret writing that fake memo released in 2018 that the FBI did not abuse. This is what he said. The FBI did not abuse foreign surveillance processes in order to spy on the former Trump campaign aide. So in this PBS interview, Schiff offered the remark when asked in the interview about the Justice Department Inspector General's report, the IG report. You know, the one that was just released, the one that says that there was spying, that falsely claims that there was no bias in the FISA application. So here we have Adam Schiff saying that he does not regret saying and lying in order to get his way. And you can actually see it now in that Nancy Pelosi will not send the impeachment papers to the Senate. Why? Because it's all a fake process. There's no evidence that Trump did anything wrong. All they had was the so-called evidence they claim they had was people who were giving their opinion about Trump's phone call. People that hates Trump. Literally, you could tell every time they talked about him, they were spitting hate and vileness, like serpents, like demons. So the report stated the FBI relied heavily on the Steele Dossier. You remember the fake Steele Dossier wrote by Christopher Steele, who admitted that most of what was in the Steele Dossier was untruthful or could not be collaborated. The witness, he said, could not be collaborated. Nothing in the Steele Dossier could be proven. So it relied heavily, this FISA application relied heavily on the Steele Dossier, which asserted Page was a, get this, Russian agent. So Schiff had no problem bashing Carter Page, calling Carter Page a Russian agent, an agent for the Kremlin, is what he said. But the IG report found the FBI was unable to corroborate any. Even the FBI couldn't corroborate any of the dossier's allegations about Carter Page. The report also said, and a major source for dossier author Christopher Steele told the FBI in January of 2017 that parts of the dossier were exaggerated and misrepresented. And not only Christopher Steele said this. Then you had Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie Orr, working for Fusion GPS, the firm that actually pushed the Steele Dossier. Bruce Orr warned the FBI that he could not corroborate any of the information in the Steele Dossier, that there wasn't any truthfulness to the Steele Dossier. Then you had John Brennan, was then director of the CIA, warned Comey not to put the Steele Dossier in with the FISA application, and James Comey did it anyway. So you have all of these facts that are blatant and in your face, and you have Adam Schiff gets on PBS NewsHour, which is pretty much a liberal organization, by the way, gets on PBS NewsHour and says that he has no sympathy for ruining Carter Page's life and that he does not regret defending the FBI. The FBI, who had a bias against Donald Trump, who literally admitted wanted to start a coup against the President of the United States. The President of the United States, the one that we elected into office. So Schiff was an earlier promoter of the dossier, as you remember, which was funded by the Clinton campaign and the DNC. So it was opposition research to ruin President Trump and anybody in his campaign. As you can see, they literally ruined Carter Page's life. So here's the thing. He read out portions of the 35-page dossier, including the unverified allegations about Page. So all this happened because Adam Schiff wanted to believe a lie. See, I remember being taught as a kid that if you lie and you want to believe the lie, you'll start believing the lie if you tell it enough. And of course, Adam Schiff, that's all he did was lie. He lied the whole time. So as you remember, Schiff was an earlier promoter of the fake dossier. But despite the IG's findings, though, Schiff told PBS host Margaret Hoover he has no sympathy whatsoever for Page. He doesn't care that he ruined Page's life. And this is his exact words. I have to say, Carter Page came before our committee and for hours of his testimony denied things that we knew were true. Later, had to admit them during his testimony, said Schiff. It's hard to be sympathetic to someone who isn't honest with you when he comes and testifies under oath. So let me get this straight. Adam Schiff, the same guy who misquoted the Trump calls during the impeachment inquiry, the same one that lied about what was said in the call and acted and did a bit. He did a bit. He was acting out what he thought, what he wanted to believe the call transcript said, which was a lie. So this same Adam Schiff says this. Keep this in mind. This is Adam Schiff's exact quote in the video you heard. It's hard to be sympathetic to someone who isn't honest with you when you come and testify under oath. It's hard to be sympathetic when you have someone who has admitted to being an advisor to the Kremlin. When did Carter Page ever admit to being an advisor for the Kremlin? See, one of the things that the FBI left out of the FISA application was that Carter Page was an advisor for the CIA. He worked for the CIA to a certain capacity. Keep that in mind. So if the FBI had put that and told the truth about who Carter Page was in the application for the FISA warrant, he wouldn't have got it, because the FISA warrant does not give FISA warrants to spy on CIA agents or CIA affiliates. So moving along, Schiff did not expand on why he thought Page gave misleading remarks during his November 2nd, 2017 testimony. Page, a former naval officer, pushed for a release of the transcript shortly after his testimony. He was also never accused in the special counsel's investigation of making false statements to Congress. So here again, you have another investigation, the Russia investigation, conducted by Mueller's team, did not find any accusations accusing Page of being a Russian spy or giving false statements to Congress. If he had, it would have been in there. But Adam Schiff, as usual, is lying, trying to push his own little crazy agenda. So Carter Page responded to this on Twitter by saying he considers Schiff to be more untrustworthy and dangerous than a former FBI lawyer alleged in the IG report to have altered an email about Page. You remember, one of the FBI lawyers altered Page's testimony, altered it, didn't tell the truth, lied to make it look bad on Page. So this is what Page said in the tweet. There have been various allegations of dishonesty regarding FBI lawyer Kleinsmith. That was the guy that actually altered Page's testimony. On information, belief, and firsthand experience since 2017, I have actually found that Representative Adam Schiff to be even more untrustworthy and dangerous with his misuse of the DNC lies. The DNC lies about how truthful and trustworthy the Steele Dossier was. So this was all paid for by the DNC and by the Hillary campaign. They all got together and they colluded with Christopher Steele, a former British spy. And then after they colluded, they made us go through this 2.5-year nonsense saying that Trump colluded with Russia. You see how this works? You see how the Democrats do. The Democrats do something. They just mislead people, and then they go and they blame it on Trump and the Republicans. You see, this is how they work. This is how they always work. They do something wrong and then they go and they blame it on Trump. And that's why you hear so much about how they say orange man bad, when they can't prove anything Trump has done that was against the law. If they could, trust me, they would be providing the evidence, because they can't wait to find that evidence. So Hoover also pressed Schiff over a memo that he had that he and other House intelligence Democrats released on February 24th in 2018, defending the FBI's surveillance of Page, as well as the Bureau's handling of the Steele Dossier. So Schiff wrote in the memo, this is what he wrote, that the FBI and the DOJ officially did not abuse the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act process, omit material information, or subvert this vital tool to spy on the Trump campaign. So Adam Schiff told all these lies, and he does not regret it. Not one bit. Not at all. So in hindsight, do you regret writing that? Hoover asked the California Democrat. Well, I don't regret that, because at the time, that's what we knew, Schiff said. Now, 2 years later, 170 interviews later, 2 million documents later, we learned there was a serious problem. A serious problem with DNC lies. A serious problem with this coup that the deep state is pushing against President Trump, trying to remove him from office. They do not believe that you, who voted for him, should be allowed to determine who the president is. They want to determine that for you. And there's so many Democrats that are angry about this impeachment thing. They're angry because basically that's the Congress literally admitting that they do not trust the American people's decisions to pick our president. They're trying to undermine the Constitution. They're trying to undermine your voting rights and your rights to choose who you want to be president. They don't trust your judgment. They don't trust how you pick presidents. They want to pick for you. That's authoritarianism. That's completely communist. The Democrat Party has become communist to the point to where they are trampling on the U.S. Constitution, our rights. They're trying to take your freedom of speech. They're trying to take your freedom to walk around with a gun. your right to bear arms. They want to take that from you. They want to take away your freedom to speak your mind. They want to take your freedom to congregate and to gather and to protest. See, the alt-left, they don't realize that they themselves will be affected by this. You don't see millions of conservatives out there protesting this impeachment thing. And let me tell you why. Because we know it's all a sham. We know it's all a lie, and it's been a sham from the very beginning. From the very beginning, all of these actors from the Democrat Party have been saying they want to impeach the president. Once they pushed it through and Congress voted, what did they do? They celebrated. Celebrated to the point that Nancy Pelosi had to shut them up, had to hush them up, because they were making the Democrat Party look bad. So rather than doing what is right, they were doing it because they don't like him. And all of this works together to show that that's what the problem is. They just don't like him. And they're never going to like him. They're never going to agree with anything he says. Now, the moderate Democrats, they're looking more conservative these days than they were before Trump was elected, because the Democrat Party has went so far left that the moderate Democrats no longer have a place to dwell. They no longer have a home in the Democrat Party. So they're shifting toward the conservative side. They're shifting toward the conservative side. Think about that for a minute. To the point where even to the left, Barack Obama seems like he's a conservative, that he's farther right than most of these other crazy people are on the left. Think about that for a minute. Barack Obama, Mr. Rainbows all over the White House, Mr. Pushing transgender bathrooms, letting grown men use the bathroom with your little girl. This same Barack Obama is starting to seem more conservative than the rest of the Democrat Party. And that's according to the Democrat Party. That's not what we think, because we know that Barack Obama is a criminal. We know that Barack Obama is a creep, that he is a liar and he's a cheat, and he was trying to destroy America. But to the left, he seems more right-wing than most other Democrats. Nancy Pelosi, she used to be a moderate. She used to be a moderate, and then what happened? They pushed her left. They pushed her into this impeachment. Now she cannot backpedal. She cannot back out of it. There's no way to do it. There's no way to backpedal out of this crazy stuff. Adam Schiff, he can't backpedal, so he has to keep going forward. He can't back out of this now, because then he'll look crazy to his own base. And they're all coming up for re-election. Think about that. They're all coming up for re-election, so they're saying what they think their base wants to hear. However, when they get back home and they talk to their constituents, what do their constituents do? They protest, they scream, and they just President Trump's approval rating is like skyrocketing. He is raising so much money for his campaign, for his re-election campaign, due to this fake impeachment hoax that the Democrats pushed. Due to Adam Schiff and his many lies, due to all the rest of the Democrats that's been in the news cycle lately. All of their lies is pushing Trump into re-election. So I say, let them keep going. Let them keep going and doing what they're doing, They're hanging themselves. They're doing themselves a disjustice. Now, there are reports saying that the Republicans will never get the House again. These are fake polls. These are fake articles pushed by the same Democrats that said Hillary Clinton would win in 2016. Think about that. They confused so many of the people on the left that when Hillary Clinton didn't win and Donald Trump won, they all cried and screamed helplessly at the sky, like possessed maniacs. Then you had these witches, these self-proclaimed witches, going around trying to curse President Trump and his base. It literally drove the left insane. So now the left is even worse than they was before 2016. They still think that one of these maniacs that's running on the Democrat ticket is going to win and beat Trump. Nobody that's running is able to beat President Trump because the Democrats don't know who they want to vote for, because all of them are equally as insane. Bernie Sanders, you have AOC pushing Bernie Sanders' communist propaganda. So you have Bernie Sanders, you have Elizabeth Warren, who panders so far left that there's no way that she can come back to moderate. There's no way. There's no way. None of these Democrats can. Think about that. But one thing I really want you to think about is if the Democrats actually do win. If the Democrats actually win back, they keep the House, they win the Senate and the White House. Imagine how terrible, in terrible shape America would be if that were to happen. Think about it. Think long and hard and let me know how you feel about your country. If you're listening to this podcast, you love your country. You love your president. You want to keep pushing this. You want to keep fighting. And we have to keep fighting. We have to keep the Democrats from ever getting power again. If we let the Democrats win and we don't get out and we don't vote because we think Trump's going to automatically win, that's not going to happen. The only way Trump's going to win and the Republicans take back the Congress is if we get out and we vote. We have to. We have no other choice. We cannot let them gain a foothold ever again. Because if they do, they're going to take your freedom of speech. They're going to make it a hate crime to even mention the name Donald Trump. They're going to make it a hate crime for you to even speak your opinion at all. Then they're coming for your guns. They're going to make it a crime to own a firearm. They're going to do this if you let them win. Don't let them win. Adam Schiff. You can tell which way the Democrat Party is flowing by the way Adam Schiff just keeps lying and cheating and ruining people's lives. He has no sympathy at all for Carter Page. That's insane, folks. That is insane. If I were to tell lies to the point that I was ruining people's lives, I wouldn't be able to go on. I would have to immediately stop and say, what am I doing? Because I'm lying on these people. But the Democrats, they do not have this sympathetic bone in their body. They don't care. Carter Page was working for the Trump campaign, and that's all they needed to try to ruin his life. Amazing. Amazing. Poor Carter Page and Carter Page's family received death threats. And what does Adam Schiff do? It's hard to be sympathetic to someone who isn't honest with you. Really? The same guy that took the call transcripts, the Trump call transcripts, and lied about them, about their content and what they said. Literally lied, made things up as he went, trying to push this narrative, trying to get the American people to believe that Trump was Don Gotti, that Trump was, the Gillespie for the mob, the mafia, that he was saying, do us a favor though, do us a favor, or else, and don't call us back until you've done what we've said. Trump didn't say anything like that. Then you have the Democrats on Twitter saying that the call transcripts aren't real. Some of them don't even think the call transcripts were released. Where have these people been? Well, that's all the time we have for today. I thank you all for listening. Keep in mind that Adam Schiff has no use for you because you support the President of the United States. He has no use for Carter Page. He has no use for Donald Trump. He has no use for anybody because they go against what he believes. They won't do what he said. Well, I thank you all for listening. Tune in tomorrow for a stacked show. All of you have a great and wonderful day.
Before we let you go, take a moment to consider one of our sponsors. Rogue Energy was founded in January of 2017 to be the best performance drink in the world. The founders of Rogue Energy have developed a premium nootropic stack in the form of a delicious energy and focus drink. It is designed to replace unhealthy canned energy drinks, coffee, and even traditional pre-workouts that can cost you an arm and a leg and can be a big drain to your budget. I'll order them in bulk and drink them daily. The mix is easy to make and has the effects of coffee with a kick. I mix a drink when I first wake up, and that gets me going with my day. I recommend the watermelon flavor. One tub gives you 30 servings. Rogue Energy is super and sugar-free and is loaded with vitamins, antioxidants, and nootropics. The founders designed Rogue Energy for the emerging professional and competitive gaming market, and it continues to have fantastic carryover and success with students, athletes, entrepreneurs, and anyone looking to optimize their mental and physical performance. You can get there by using the link in the description. Also, during checkout, use the promo code BOLDWITHJAMES and get an additional 10% off of your order. Order your Rogue Energy kits today.